Jets, 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 Jets. Jets, 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 Jets.
Welcome to Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast from three guys who talked sports together over lunch for over 10 years. Probably eating a Fudgy the Whale.
Let's hear it for the Dodgers! Made it to the playoffs! Let me hear you real loud! Go Dodgers! Go Dodgers! Go Dodgers! Go Dodgers!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast, episode number 58. I'm Brian Galloway here with, from Rumson, New Jersey, Alex Shanley. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing very, very well, Brian. Thank you for having me on the show tonight. This will be my first
Thank you
show.
for having you. Thank you.
We have some interesting things to toss around tonight.
Yeah.
P. Diddy, we got a lot of
No guests, but we have some interesting. Okay. So we also have, from Parts Unknown, we have Michael Pippersick. How are you, Michael?
I was doing fine until you reintroduced Alex first again. So
I don't think I'll rotate it.
low man on a three-person totem pole.
I,
A very short totem pole.
I'm the shortest one. What are you guys talking about?
But you
Okay,
got that afro that gives you like an extra 6 inches. So you're actually the tallest with hair.
So we have
Fletch reference there for those who don't know.
Fletch, great movie.
I didn't like it.
You did not like Fletch.
The original one with Chevy
No,
Chase?
yeah.
What's the guy's
I'm
name?
not a Chevy Chase
Mr.
guy.
Cox. Like, what was the guy's name who he impersonated at the club?
Underhill?
Mr. Underhill.
Put it on the
Put it on
Underhill.
Mr. Underhill's account. Yes. Okay, so we're going to start today with a bunch of topics. But before we get started, there's one thing I just want to. There's a little tidbit I read, and I thought it was really interesting to me, and I just wanted to bring it up because, we talk about a lot of things, and we get into details, and we look at stats, and we look at some of these great players, and people always make the comparisons between in sports. They say like, oh, the players nowadays versus the players before. It's not the same thing. And, I always will say, hey, yes, of course, if Babe Ruth was playing today, he would be working out more, and he would probably have, he would eat healthier. And so you can't really make that comparison because it's, if Aaron Judge was back then, would he be eating like, 20 hamburgers before the game because he didn't know any better? I don't think you know. I don't think you know that stuff. So the one thing I noticed was Juan Soto hit his, was his 200th home run. And he was, at his age, he was one of the youngest people of all time to do that. And I was looking at the other people that did it. So 3 of them that came out to me were very interesting. So Mel Ott, right? Mel Ott, the catcher.
Yeah.
Right. Eddie Matthews, right? Who was always second fiddle to Hank Aaron, but did hit 500 home runs.
Yep.
Albert Pujols, which I kind of figured that. And Jimmy Fox.
Yeah.
Remember Jimmy Fox? And then
Hit
another
500
guy.
as well.
Yeah. Mickey Mantle and A-Rod. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the quickest to hit
Cheater.
200. Okay. So, but the thing about this is, when I thought about this and I said, okay, Mel Ott, Eddie Matthews, and Jimmy Fox. Now, Fox, I think people do count him as one of the greatest of all time. But Mel Ott, I don't think people realize how good this guy was. So if he was one of the youngest guys to hit 200 home runs, and now remember the Polo Grounds back then was so far to hit a home run. Like these were not cheap shots. These were shots you had to hit. And Eddie Matthews was in that. I think the Braves were in Boston first. I think Boston first before Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think people realize how good he was too. I think because of the fact he spent his whole career with Hank Aaron, and Hank was just better than him. Just like you see Willie Mays and Willie McCovey.
But they're all Hall of Famers.
They're all Hall of Famers. But I don't think. But what I think, what I'm saying, Alex, is that I don't think people realize how good some of these guys were. We don't talk about Mel Ott very much.
Nope.
The guy, so I went back and looked at the guy. Like he came out gangbusters, and that's what we think. It's Soto was young, right? Hits a lot of home runs. Wonderful player. I like the way he plays. He's I think he's good for the Yankees. He adds a little spice. He's not too over the top of a crazy guy, and he seems like a good guy. But Eddie Matthews, again, I don't give that guy enough credit. That's me. But when I like baseball history. I really do.
Yeah.
I just never gave him enough credit to think back and say, wow, Mickey Mantle, right? Mickey Mantle was crazy out of this world for a while, but Mel Hyde and Eddie Matthews, man, here's to you guys. Raise a beer to these guys. They're much better than people give it thought. And when you guys are out talking to your kids about baseball and sports, bring up some of these old guys because obviously they did something right because they're hitting that many home runs at that age.
Yeah.
In a larger ballpark, right? With balls that were not as tightly wound. So it's just a very different game. But people say baseball is probably one of the few where the stats kind of mean a lot, even though today's athletes have more benefits and more things to help them prepare, and they have weights and they have
but they're also going against 95-mile-an-hour pitchers, every single pitcher. They're also going against specialized pitchers. So, I agree, Brad, but it's like generational, right? Like you have to look at the generations of players and when they played and kind of put a bubble around it because.
Well, just think about this: if Babe Ruth came, was living now, and he was working out and drinking protein shakes and eating healthy, right? Drinking Gatorade.
It's the desire to win. The desire to be great. Yeah. I mean, he's got it in him, right? All these, anybody that made it to the Hall of Fame has that desire. So they would have made it in any generation.
Yeah. I love that. What you just said, Alex, is perfect because, if they have the desire to win, they're going to be great in every generation. And I do agree with that. And that's why when people say you can't compare apples to apples, well, you know what? I think you can. It's just a matter of put this person in that era, see how they do, and if they have that same drive, they're going to do just as well.
Yeah, because they're not going to want to be bad, right? Like that's why they're great players, no matter when they play.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's that. I'm sorry to take up some time on that one, but just it really.
No, it's a good one.
I actually took a Photoshop of a picture of the the article because I wanted to remember to talk about it because to me it was, I love the old history of baseball and I'm just like, I never give those two guys enough credit for how good they were. And now
the advantage
Soto, who I think is mind blowing right now.
Yeah, but I think the advantage that players will have today, let's just use baseball as an example historically going forward, is because of the advantages in nutrition. They could play longer, right? So the stats could really blow the stats of those athletes from earlier generations out of the water, right? Like we're seeing that with basketball. You're seeing that with tennis with all these records. LeBron's playing, he's going on 40. I mean, that's unheard. That was unheard of even 20 years ago. So to see him become the all-time leading scorer is not a surprise. And, I can see other records that we thought as unbreakable falling in the next 10, 20 years as well, just because of the advantages with nutrition and longevity and training and all of those factors.
And then they become compilers, right? Because they're just compiling stats because they can play another 5 years or 6 years, like Don Sutton did. Yeah.
So let me so the last thing I wanted to bring up really quick, and this is a very, very quick thing. Today is the anniversary of a very famous feat in baseball, and it's an interesting one because it's the anniversary of Dave Kingman hitting a home run for the Yankees, where that meant that he hit home runs during the season for 4 different teams, and one of the teams was in each of the divisions. So at that at that time there was only 4 divisions. So he have actually started out with one team, got traded again, and then the Yankees picked him up for the pennant race, and he hit a home run for each team. So this will never be broken. So one player home run with 4 different teams in the same year, all the teams in different divisions. The odds of that ever happening again, I think that's never going to happen again. But today was the anniversary, and I always thought Dave, another guy, never got his just due. He could hit the ball far, man. Yeah, that's all he could do. But he could clobber.
Struck out a ton, couldn't hit for average, but he could hit a.
Yeah, he was built for today's baseball, right?
Yeah. He hit shots.
Just did it 40 years too early.
Yeah. He just he cranked balls. But anyway, okay. So that's that. So what do you want to talk about today? What's the first topic? Who wants to go first? Alex?
I'll
What's your
throw
what's
out just because like I think this guy's really good at what he does, and I'm worried that he's not going to get what he deserves, and it's Greg Olsen. So I just read that Chris Collinsworth has just re-upped his contract through the 2030 season, which really takes up another spot for these number one analyst jobs in the NFL. And Greg Olson was the number one guy for, I don't know, maybe a year. And then they turned around and gave the job to Tom Brady and paid him all this money. And, he's got like I don't know, some crazy contract through 2035 or something. So, and Greg Olson's great at what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's better than Tony Romo. I think he's probably better than Troy Aikman. I'm not a Troy Aikman fan, but it's just mind-boggling that they threw all this money at. I mean, I realize he's a celebrity, right? Tom Brady himself, but they threw all this money at him when Greg Olson was so good at. And maybe they were just surprised how good Greg Olson was, but it's getting tiresome with all these athletes taking these analyst positions and then trying to listen to Tom Brady talk about the Jets rationally or talk about the Patriots rationally. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't think Troy Aikman's been ever able to do it with the Cowboys, and maybe they just accept that. And same with Tony Romo, but I don't know. What do you guys think about
what?
about
But
Greg
wait,
Olson getting
so
the
this
raw
is
deal?
the guy who used to pitch for the Orioles, the guy with 200 career saves, that
The
Greg
other
Olson.
Greg Olsen
Oh, the
The
other
tight
Greg
end,
Olson.
Carolina Panther, Greg
from
Olson.
New
Oh,
Jersey. He's a Jersey
Yeah,
guy too.
yeah, and he was so good. Like he kind of came out of nowhere, and they brought him on,
well,
and he
so
just did such a great
here's
job.
my here's my thing about him. He's kind of boring. Well,
You
he is
think?
great. I do like him. He's very good. He's
He
very
was
good.
the lead for 2 years. I was wrong.
Yeah,
I thought it was
but
one. He was the lead for
he's
two.
not dynamic. Whereas he's not
Dude,
outlandish. And I'm not telling you that's good because I'm not a big fan
have
of
you
Romo.
heard
I think
Tom
Romo
Brady?
stinks.
Is
Well, I
Tom
know he's a
Brady's
robot.
like a
He's a robot.
manila envelope.
I know. I
I
know.
haven't seen Brady yet, but that's a hard job. Like
Oh yeah,
it's not an easy job. But I feel like we talked about Greg Olson in a previous podcast. He's very articulate. I mean, he knows the game inside out. I don't even know what he's talking about half the time because he
yeah,
is so in depth, which is a skill. And I know a lot of fans love that stuff. He's great at his job, and he just kind of transitioned right into it perfectly. And
yeah,
then he's got his own podcast as well called Youth Inc., where he talks about youth sports as well. So he's got a lot of experience, I think, and has been developing, those muscles to be able to speak, on those games in real time, and does a great job. And it is really unfortunate. Like Tom Brady just came in off the street, and it's Tom Brady, and they threw all this money at this unproven commodity. And Greg Olson, you can just tell by listening to him, he's putting in the work and
yeah, yeah.
he's delivering the goods. And it's really unfortunate when this guy is so good, and you're just seeking, the big name as if, hey, Tom Brady's on, so we're gonna get a ton more viewers. And it's like people are watching the game. The analysis is, take it or leave it for some folks. And Olsen's just terrific, though. I agree that he's better than Romo. I feel like Romo was really good early on and really sharp, but when I watched him more recently, he almost seemed unprepared. And Greg Olsen is
Greg Olson's very no. He's very
incredibly
yeah.
prepared.
He's again. He's a hurricane. So I've always liked him. But
Yeah.
he he's a great player, and he had a great career that you don't. Again, he had
Yes.
742 catches, 8,000 yards, 60 touchdowns. He um he was a good player. I mean, he was really good for a long time. He did have a couple years where he was hurt, where he missed like a good, he missed half a season two
Mhm.
times and missed a third of the season another time. But before that, he had played pretty much played every game. He was great. He's probably one of the best. If when you talk about Carolina Panthers, he's got to be in the top five Carolina Panthers of all time. So, yeah, I think he deserves better, but I will tell you guys, he's just not made for TV. He's just kind of like calm, easygoing. Um, he should really do play by play. But
I
I
mean,
don't think he's a color guy because he's not outlandish. Now again, Romo says so many stupid things that I just don't know why they don't like last year in the Super Bowl. Romo was awful, and I just see this all the time with him. I don't know
well,
why they pay him so much money.
he's gotten the reputation of, well, he got paid before everybody turned on him, but he got the reputation where he was telling everybody the play before it took place.
Yes.
It's like, we don't want to know that. We want to watch the game, right? Like, that's the whole thing about why I'm watching it on TV and not listening on the radio, right? Um, and I think that back they tried to get him out of that, and I think that's what has messed him up so bad, has messed Tony Romo up so bad. But he's a huge contract, and Brady's contract, he never calling a game in his life. He got a 10-year,
Yeah.
$375 million contract.
Incredible.
Like, how's that
Because of
ever
his
going to
name.
pay
Well, it's
off?
because of his name. See, so okay, we go to our wives right now and we ask them, "Do you know what Tom Brady is?" They're going to say yes. Do you know who Greg Olson is? They're going to go who? They're not going to know Greg Olson. He's not a household name.
Are they
Brady's a
watching the
household name.
game though because of Brady?
Do I what?
Is
Do we
Tom
watch a
Brady
game?
is
No, I
Tom
don't watch
Brady
a game
being
because of
on going
announcers.
to get people to watch the
No,
game?
I don't watch the games because of announcers. I actually I
Yeah.
have to tell you, I think the prime announcers for the Jets game recently, that the prime announcers are good.
Is it Herb
Um,
Street?
yeah, he was good. I was surprised. I expected him to be awful, and I was like, you know what? I'm not hating this guy. He's pretty decent. He's not talking too much. And
Yeah.
I think I don't like the people that over talk. They just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and then you're not paying attention to the game. You want to sit down and just watch the game. Um, I think he's pretty good. Again, is he my favorite? No, but he's not bad. He
Yeah,
might
he's
grow.
good as long as he's not doing an Ohio State game.
Correct. Well, that's a different story.
Yeah, it's whatever happened to the pure analyst guy? I guess that they're always going with athletes now, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the pure analysts that went to Syracuse School of Communications, they're getting stuffed into lockers by the cool guys, the cool former athletes.
Yeah, I
At
don't get
least
it.
Greg Olsen is good though. Yeah, Greg Olsen is good though.
Yeah, so I just think he should get a number one. Not that it makes
Yeah.
a big difference, but it makes a big difference for those out of market 4 o'clock games. When you want the best broadcasters on there, and Brady's going to be an owner of the Raiders, right? Like, how's that going to work? Supposedly, he's not going to be able to go to certain meetings because he'll get team information that he's not supposed to have. Very strange to me. But my vote's for Greg Olson. See if he can get back in there and
I'm
take
I
over
with
the
think
you.
number one spot
yeah,
in
we
Fox.
got to get him there. We got to get him back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but who's going to supplant Brady in $375 million?
Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes.
Who was the guy that they gave all the money to, and he was there 1 year and then said forget it? Witten, the tight end from the
Yeah.
Oh, from
He
the
went back and play. He
Cowboys.
went back and played again.
Yeah, because he was so bad. They threw all this money at him, and I think it was Monday Night Football.
He's another guy. Who's another
Possibly.
guy that was a baseball player named Mark Whitten too? Remember, hard hitting
Yeah,
Mark Whitten.
yeah.
Like these
Hard
guys, I
hitting
think
Mark
they have
Whitten.
dual names. Remember him? Hard hitting Mark Whitten. Yeah,
It's a
He
great
had 4
nickname.
home runs, right?
yeah.
1 year.
So, but I mean, it's funny because these guys we're talking about two guys. They have both the same name as a baseball player.
Yeah.
So that maybe that's your jinx. It could be it. You can have one.
So we'll start a fan club for Greg Olson, see if we can get him. But
Yes,
it
I like
doesn't
to
look
see him.
good
I
because
like to see him, but no, because again, he's a good guy.
yeah,
Well, you know what? Pretty much, if the NFL doesn't take him, the Hurricanes will bring him in and let him do their games.
Is he a Hall of Famer, Brian?
No, he's not a Hall of Famer, but he's the top
No?
5 Panther of all time.
Oh, you don't think he's a Hall of Famer?
No, I
Interesting.
don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
So what? It's Collinsworth on NBC, Romo on CBS, Aikman on Prime. Is that right?
No, he's ESPN. Right?
ESPN.
Yep.
Okay, so Aikman's on ESPN, and then Kirk Herbstreit, is on Amazon Prime. So that's it. There's no spot for Olsen because all those guys all have big contracts. I guess Aikman's contract's up in 2027.
Well, okay,
but-
let me take that back. So if you go and look at StatMuse, all time
Here we go.
catches by a tight end, Tony Gonzalez, Jason Witten, Antonio Gates, Travis Kelce, Shannon Sharp, Greg Olsen.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. Great
He's
player.
got more than Gronkowski. He's got more than Ozzie Newsome. I changed my mind. He is a Hall of Famer.
I
He
am
got more than
definitely on
Kellen
the Greg
Winslow.
Olsen
What?
bandwagon. I am definitely on the Greg Olsen for Hall of Fame bandwagon.
And he's one of those guys like looks completely different now that he's out of football. Like just lost all the weight and
Yeah.
just looks very different.
Well,
Isn't that amazing how
Kelsey
these
has
guys lose weight?
so
Yeah.
Kelsey needs like 400 catches to beat Tony Gonzalez. I don't know if he's
How
going to beat
many?
him. He needs 400 catches more to beat
Four,
Tony
no, no
Gonzalez.
way he's getting there. He's 35 already.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do it.
Kelsey.
He'll pass Antonio Gates soon. Jason Witten, he's got a tough time. He'd have a tough time beating.
Yeah,
Jason
every one of
Witten.
those guys is in the Hall of Fame above him, so I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yep, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelsey will be in the Hall of Fame, but the rest of those guys are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so he does. So I apologize, folks. I misspoke. He does. Again, this is probably the same reason why he's not getting the gigs, because they don't realize how good this guy was, because he's so calm and nondescript, and that doesn't cause problems.
So
It's not
blue
Deion
collar
Sanders.
guy doing his job well.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Next topic, Mike.
I've got one for you. Big NBA contract extension today. I want to get your guys' thoughts on. Joel Embiid
Wasted money.
signed 3 years for 190 million plus. Are the
They just want
Sixers
to make sure they keep him.
Are the Sixers ready to challenge the throne? They made some big moves. They picked up Bryan's number 2 favorite all-time player behind Steph Curry. They picked up Paul George, one that you love. They picked up Caleb Martin, noted Celtic killer. They've got Andre Drummond. They picked up Olympic superstar Gershon Yabusele from France. They picked up another guy named after another athlete, Reggie Jackson. And then they drafted Jared McCain from Duke, point guard. Is this team, first of all, is the Joel Embiid signing good move, bad move, indifferent? And are the Sixers ready to challenge the Celtics for the throne?
No.
Yeah, I would say it's a move they had to do because he is the franchise or he is the process, let's call it that way. They had to do it, but they're not going to win a champ. I mean, haven't we proven that this team isn't going to win a championship with him as the centerpiece? He gets hurt at the wrong time. He decides not to play defense at the wrong time. He's always great early on in the season. And then, a month before playoffs, all of a sudden the aches and pains and he's not playing. And then the playoffs come and he tries to do too much. He's got to sit a game out. I don't blame them for doing it. I understand why they did it. It's going to pack the house and bring people in, and they're going to win a lot of games for it. Do I think they're going to win a championship because they did it? No, I don't think they're going to win a championship.
So, Alex, the Sixers right now are negotiating with the town of Camden to move across the river to go to Camden, and New Jersey's giving them so many tax breaks.
But I thought the deal's done. I thought they're going back to Philly.
Is it official?
I think so. Well, I read something the other day that said, clearly Camden wasn't ever really serious, but I'll look it up while you talk about it.
Yeah, because first of all, I thought that would never. I thought it was never going to happen. They were going to put it where the new stadium where the prison used to be, which cracks me up. But either way, they need to get people in that stadium, and he's the only reason. He's the only draw they have right now. They have no other draw.
Tyrese Maxey, not a draw.
Tyronn Maxey's great, but he's not a draw yet. He might be in a couple years.
Fun to watch. Joel Embiid is 30 years old. Did you realize that?
What?
Yeah. They're doing a deal in downtown Philly for an arena.
Where?
Downtown. So they're getting out of that whole complex, huh?
Yeah.
Wells Fargo,
which is crazy because that is a great complex.
It's a nice arena, the Wells Fargo Center.
Yeah.
I wonder why. They want to get out of there. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's again the Sixers. Why they're not going to win the championship, guys. I'll tell you right now.
They did the same thing back when I was living in Philly. It was New Jersey's going to get. I forget if it was the Sixers or the Flyers or something. They're going to build it, and then they ended up just getting a new arena. So.
Well, I mean, I think it would be the stupidest thing in the world if they go to Camden because it's just the same thing as the Meadowlands with the Jets and Giants there. I still think they should be they should be New Jersey, or in the town of their, like, the fact that they're in New York still bothers me.
Would
need
they
to
have been
go.
called the Camden Sixers? And
No, they
everybody
could have
would
been the
say,
'86ers.
where's Camden?
No, they could have been the '86ers because wait, what? So 76, yeah, 86 was the year that New Jersey came in, I think, to the, is that, what is 1986, 1786? I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I know I saw something article that said they would have been the '86ers.
What?
Yeah.
The Camden 86ers?
Yes.
That sounds
So they
like
could still be the Sixers, and they could,
the
but it's
Camden
the stupidest thing.
86ers.
Yeah, it
That
sounds like a
sounds.
Canadian Football League team. I don't know. I don't know. But either way, it's not. If Alex saying it's not happening, then it's probably not happening. I
Yeah,
just don't think. Even think of the Olympic team. He played really good against Jokic, but the rest of the Olympics, he wasn't that great. They benched him a couple times too. They talked about benching Tatum. He wasn't very effective in a lot
well,
of the
he
games
shouldn't have
up
been on the
until that
team to
game.
begin with,
Yeah,
right?
right.
I mean,
So yeah, I don't know.
not that he
Again, they're
shouldn't
not
have
going
been
to win
on
a
the team.
championship with him, guys, unless they get another big time star, like a player better than him. It's not going to happen.
They got
So
Paul George, Brian.
he's not better than him. PG,
Paul,
yeah, playoff PG. Yeah,
do you know? Do you know
you're
how
talking
much?
about two guys. Yeah, I mean, could you imagine? They're both going to get hurt. I mean, we should take odds now. I mean, 55 games and over and under 55 games for George and Embiid
Embiid
together. So in other words, they have to play
playing
together
together.
in the same game.
110.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
they
no,
have
no,
to
no,
play
no,
together.
no, no,
Oh,
no.
I
They
see
just
what
have
you're
to
saying.
play together for 55 games during the
55.
season. They both have to play in the game.
55.
That's tough.
That means that they might get hurt, but none of them's hurt more than like 20 games. Yeah. It's not gonna
Plus,
happen.
one of them is going to sit out on like the second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah. And you have the Paul's hurt, Embiid's hurt, and they're both hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's not gonna. He's not. I mean,
55.
if he does now, if they play,
I would say 45. So I'll go with the
wow,
under. I think
you're going under
45 games.
55. Okay.
I'll go
I
the
don't know.
under, but I think it'll be close. I think they'll get to 50.
Okay.
You
Well,
think
let's see
they'll
what
get to
happens.
50?
We'll remember this, and we'll see what happens.
Well, there's the new rules too, right? Like you're not up for certain awards if you don't play so many
Yeah,
games,
which I love that.
which I don't think Paul George would be up for, but Embiid could be up for, right?
What's Paul George ever up for? Nothing. He's not. He's not. He's
Yeah.
one of those
No,
guys.
that's what I mean. He's not going to get MVP.
Everybody thinks he's so good. I've never been a guy who, he might be a decent player, but he's not a superstar. He's not that level of guy. I just don't think I've ever seen him to be that type of guy. Even before he broke his leg. I mean, I think remember when he had that horrible
Horrific injury. Yeah.
horrific,
Awful.
He was on the Pacers then, right?
Yeah, it's amazing that he came back.
But it's like when you're the star, quote unquote, the best player, the only player on a team like the Pacers, right? You're going to have great stats.
Mhm.
It's just that when you go to the better team that has other players and you have to fit in, you're not controlling the ball. So, all of a sudden those numbers they tank. And I think that's kind of Paul George's career. He's great as a solo guy. But with other players, I think he's found it much more difficult. Although he had a pretty good season last year.
No, he wasn't that good. But it still just cracks me up when that 1 year, it was with the Pacers. I think he paid money to have all these big posters put up all over the town saying playoff PG, and then they got swept. I think I don't remember what it was. I don't even remember the year, but all I know is it was like the biggest embarrassment for him. You don't ever see that anymore. But yeah, I'm not a fan of him. So yeah, so far going back to your comment on this whole thing, I'm not even fazed by this thing. I think it's a waste of money by the Sixers, but they kind of had to do it.
Yeah.
They kind of had to do it.
Yeah, Paul George is an interesting second fiddle because he does score a lot of points. He's a compiler of points, but he never rebounds well. He never distributes the ball well. He's kind of out there. Just gets his 20 points, and at the end of the game, you're like, oh, he had 26 and 4, and you're
How
like,
was he at Kansas? I don't even remember him at Kansas. Was he good at Kansas?
Paul George?
No, I'm saying Embiid.
Embiid? Embiid got hurt. He played about 13 games, and then he sat out the NCAA tournament game. They lost to Stanford in the second round. He actually played. He was a freshman with Andrew Wiggins.
Which was like the beginning of the I play in the regular season and then I can't play when it matters,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He was
He had a
very
foot
good.
issue, right?
Yeah, he had a foot issue, and then
Yeah.
he didn't play for 2 years after he got drafted.
And I think he dropped in the draft, didn't he? Because of his
He
foot?
went second or third,
Oh, he
but
went
they
second
knew
or third. Okay.
they knew he couldn't play, which was weird. So you drafted a guy that was not going to play. You knew was not going to play.
Right.
And
It's paid off for sure.
yeah,
Well,
he's
but
been a great
you think
player.
about all their picks. The quote unquote process. It started
Mhm.
out with Nerlens Noel, then Marcel Fultz, and then who was that other? Who was the other center? He was undersized. Oh my God! Come on!
Elton Brand.
No,
He was the
no.
GM.
Yeah.
He was
No,
the
there was
GM.
another center. Was he from Duke? Come on, Mike. You got to
Yeah.
know this. It was
That's why Elton Brand.
before right after Nerlens Noel, the next year they picked another
Oh,
center.
yeah. They drafted Jaleel Okafor.
That's again.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
one stinker, another stinker. Marcel, who actually had a decent, he was good this year. He's starting to be a better. He's not a star though, but he's a decent player. He's a very good defensive player. With Orlando, he's a good player. So, but he's not. Again, they gave up on him. Then who else? Was it Embiid the next year? I mean, they had all those first round picks, and of those first round picks, they made 3 duds.
Yeah,
And
he's the
one
only
good-
Ben
one.
Simmons, you'll recall
Ben
Simmons
Simmons,
was
another
there
one, man.
too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Who says, he says he's coming to camp 100%. That's what he
Oh,
said.
no
It's
way.
the same
I don't
thing
buy
every
it.
year.
Oh, he should
He's
just,
just collecting his money.
man,
though
and
he's
it's
in
a
the-
lot of money.
Yeah. What a waste.
But
What a
yeah,
waste of
their
contract.
their two number one picks were Ben Simmons and Markel Fultz, and you're like, oof. And
Yes,
look, Ben
yes.
Simmons was a great defensive player for a few years, but ever since that, when he passed up a layup to throw
Yeah.
a pass out, like it's been over for him. Their best pick was Tyrese Maxey. They got him late in the first round. They just picked Jared McCain, which was an interesting pick. Another point guard who played really well for Duke, I thought, particularly in the NCAA tournament. But that was kind of a surprising pick. I think they just drafted Tyrese Maxey's
Well, I think
backup.
I think they want Maxey to be a
they have
shooting
Reggie
guard.
Jackson too. So
I think they want Maxey to be a shooting guard. So if they have a good point guard, that might even be better.
Tyrese Maxey's like 6'2", and I wouldn't call him a shooting guard. He's so streaky.
I know, but he's
Right. He's
good.
great at getting
athletic.
to the
He's so
basket.
athletic. He's so
Yeah,
athletic.
he's fantastic.
He's so fast.
Oh, yeah.
He's so
lot.
fast.
Yeah, I like, even though he's a Sixer, I do like him a lot. I do.
Yeah.
I like Max. I root for him.
Well, the Nets wanted him in that trade. They
Mhm.
wanted him bad,
Yeah.
and the Sixers wouldn't give him up.
They go
So,
here, take this guy with the bad back.
yeah.
He's getting paid. Tyrese Maxey finally, which is
Yeah.
good for
Yeah,
him.
well, I think that's a good one. Now let's talk about something. I just think we got to talk about it. The 50-50 man. I just think like that's an incredible feat. We're lucky to see it. I can imagine. Like I know the guy caught the ball.
Well, we hear about it, but him being on the West Coast, I haven't seen very much.
Brutal.
Yeah.
But what do you think? What do you guys think about this? I think how amazing is this compared to other stuff?
I just think like every obstacle that's thrown in front of that guy, like, he's had Tommy John surgery. He's had a lot of problems since he's been in the major. He always comes back and just does something else that's better than what he did before. And it's like, okay, I'm only allowed to bat this year. Okay, well, watch this. I'm going to steal 50 bases too. It's really, Brian, you said it, like it's an amazing thing, incredible that we get to witness it. And, this record will be broken. Like I'm confident that somebody else will be able to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases, because it's like when everybody said, 40-40, that's never going to happen. And then a bunch of guys, once it gets done once and a bunch of guys do
Canseco
it.
did it, right?
Yeah, Canseco did it. And then, a bunch of guys have done it since then. But, like if Judge wanted to steal 50 bases, could he? I think he probably could, right?
He could, but you'd have to risk the injury because I think he's so muscular. The odds of him, he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Otani's a good base stealer. He's got, you know, again, growing up in the Japanese league, they make sure you know the fundamentals. They
Yeah.
really do. Like, our guys don't do that.
But this will be the only year he does it, right? Because once he starts pitching,
He
he's not
can't.
going to be
He's not
stealing
gonna. No,
bases.
but I mean, look
Yeah,
what
is
he's
he going to
doing.
be pitching? Is that like the foregone
He likes to
conclusion
pitch.
that
That's what
he's
he
going
likes
to
to
like?
pitch better
Yeah.
than likes the
Yeah,
bat. He said that.
because
Like pitching is what is his love.
because to your point, it was, hey, he can't pitch, so now he's going to steal bases. Like, my God, it's like, what else can this guy do? It's like, just throw him in. And like, was he going to be a closer now? It's like, hey, throw me in, I'll close some games for you too. It's like everything this guy does
Well, I
is,
think that would be the smarter move, is to let him be a closer. But I don't know if that's the kind of, you know, because then there's less chance of him getting injured. You bring him in certain situations, pitch 2 innings, done, or pitch an inning here, pitch a couple batters. I think that'd be more valuable. But right now, he wants to be a starter. They're not going to say no, because he's a draw.
yeah.
And
He's
he's basically done playing the outfield, right? Like,
he's also a bad outfielder.
yeah.
That's one thing. He's not a good fielder. He's definitely not a good fielder. Fundamentally, he didn't learn to be a good outfielder. I've seen him out there butchering a bunch of balls. He's not.
Like Jason Dominguez. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
man, what's going on with him?
I don't know, but my God.
Well, we know. So here's what. So just to tell you guys this, last night I'm sitting on the deck and I was out there late at night. Sometimes I go out with my iPad and I watch TV in the deck because it was a beautiful night, and all of a sudden I get this thing on my phone, like message from Tops, and they were doing this special commemorative Otani card, and they were selling it last night. So I had to get it. I jumped in a virtual queue, and then it just says, "Oh, I said, it says you're in a queue, and you have to wait." And then it kept on refreshing, again. So 45 minutes. So I basically was giving up. I wasn't going to get it, and all of a sudden it goes bing, and I'm in. Right? What? Oh, and you have to go buy it. So I go to buy. You can buy it. And it was $11, and they're only making a couple. A couple hundred. That's it. So I get in. I buy it, and then I'm about to check out, and then something happens, and I don't know what happened with the screen. It went off, and I'm like, oh no, and I lost it. So
Oh,
I totally, so I quickly refreshed my screen, and then it came back. I was so lucky, and then I got it. So I did get it, and I ordered it. But it was just pure luck that I was on the phone at that time. Like, because I normally would not have noticed that came up. So Tops does that now. What Tops does is, in special occasions, when something, like when Judge hit the 60th home run, they did this, and they actually go and they release a small amount of cards. They're called Tops Now,
hmm.
and they do this. So I got the Judge one when he hit 60, and I got the Curry one after the Olympics, and then they had one the other day with Curry and Messi, because Messi gave the night night sign or
Hmm.
something like that.
Oh, did he?
Yes, and so I that came up, right, and I'm like, Steph Curry, wait, why are they doing this again? And then I look and I'm like, oh, I got to get this. This is my problem, right? I'm like, oh, I order it, you know. So I got it,
You're
but
done paying for college, bro. You buy those cards.
there
Exactly.
you go,
That's
there
why
you
he's
go.
traveling all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well,
no,
I'm seeing here Dodgers Shohei Ohtani rare one of one 50-50 club autographed card. You got to get that one, Bry.
well,
Revealed
so
by
what
Tops.
you have a chance of getting an autograph card when you order them, one out of every
Gotcha.
whatever there's going to be autographed. Yeah, and they also have different color variations too. So if you get certain color variations, they're worth more and they're rarer. So I'll let you know when I get it. Um, but anyway, so that's a cool thing. I think that's a cool thing that Tops is doing now. They're trying to, because baseball cards are, I know we talked about it already. Baseball cards are hot as crazy again. Really is. Folks that are out there collecting. But, okay, what's the next topic, Alex?
So let's talk about the New York Mets. We talk a lot about the Yankees,
The
but
Schmets. Okay.
the Mets have had quite a season. They were down, terrible start, down. Um, I think they were 11 games under 500. They were like 7 or 8 games out of the wild card, and everybody had them, was throwing dirt on the grave. And now they're like the best team in baseball since the All Star break. Um, putting up huge numbers, winning games in the past they wouldn't win. Now, it's still going to come down to they're currently playing a series with the Phillies. They won the game last night.
Getting hammered today.
Yeah, today, of course, they're getting hammered, right? And then I think they have the Phillies, they have the Braves, and the Brewers left. So all good teams. The Brewers may not play, though, because I think they have everything wrapped up. So they
Yeah,
may
they
just
do,
be
yeah.
setting themselves up for the playoffs. So it's potentially going to come down to I think one more game with the Phillies, and then this series with the Braves, which how many times have the Braves
Always,
broken the
right?
Mets' heart? Yeah,
Amazing.
it
Yeah.
went from the Cardinals to the Braves, but
That's
they're
right.
they're playing really well. Lindor's hurt. He's had if it wasn't for Ohtani's 50-50, he's had an MVP season, and they brought some young guys up that are playing great. Vientos is playing great. So does a lot of this credit have to go to Stearns, right? David Stearns, they brought in from the Brewers. They brought him in this year's his first year. He's the, I don't know, what is he, the president of baseball operations. And he's really turned things around, and he got a lot, they're doing it with smoke and mirrors with their pitching staff, McGill and Severino and, Quintana. It's crazy what they're doing with their pitching staff. But how much credit should Stearns get for this turnaround? Because he basically said at the beginning of the year, look, we're going to be a playoff team. And then they went 11, they were under 500, 11 games. And everyone's like, what is this guy? Does this guy know what he's talking about? And then everything turns around. And, was it analytics? Was it a numbers game? Is it just dumb luck that these pitchers happen to be pitching well, all of them having career seasons? But what's your guys' take on the Mets this year?
They've been fun to watch. I think Vientos was a big find for them. I know, so I think beginning of the year, obviously the big stars were not hitting, right? They were not. They were actually awful, awful. Like the big three in the Mets, Nimmo, Alonso, and who's the
Lindor.
shortstop? Lindor. Yeah, they were all not hitting, right? So then then they started coming out of it, and the pitching was better, and their bullpen was actually always pretty decent. And then Vientos came out of nowhere because last year he was almost a bum. I thought he was just terrible, and he was hitting every clutch, getting every clutch hit. And um, Jeff McNeil came back, started hitting well. Then he got hurt, and he was really hitting well for a while. And then the catcher, Alvarez,
Alvarez.
yeah, that guy's amazing. He was hitting the ball like crazy. So they've had different people throughout the time get hot. Now Lindor's been amazing. He's like borderline. If it wasn't for Ohtani, he could be the MVP. Lindor.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I really
Agree
think
here.
so. So he's that good. He's having that clutch of a season. So yeah, they're fun to watch, and I think I want them to make the playoffs. I think it's good for the city. It's always good for when both teams make it. I really want the Mets to make it. Do I think they can win? I don't think they have the pitching for a 7-game series. Um, if they get hot hitting, maybe because they had like what 3 games in a row they scored 10 runs recently.
Yeah.
But I just don't think they have the pitching um, to really do something. I just don't know if they do. I really don't.
Yeah,
Alex.
that's definitely the rub. The bullpen is pretty lean too. I mean, they have 3 guys that can carry the load, but it gets lean after that. But that's been the rub all year, right? It's like they don't have pitching, but yet they're winning all these games. They may win 90 games, which would be incredible because I think most people were picking them maybe to be 79, 80, 81 games. And now they're saying, they have an opportunity to win 90 if they can, go on this streak and beat the Braves and beat the Phillies. So
I have a
The-
friend. Mike's met him, Bobby G.
and the Braves are another great story that they're still
Oh
in the mix with
yeah,
all the
I
injuries
can't
they've
believe they're
had.
even winning. Yeah, I can't believe they're winning with that injured
Acuna and
lineup.
Strider. I mean, Strider pitched 9 innings this season, and
Cunha did nothing, right? I mean,
yeah, and it is funny how it comes down to the Mets and the Braves again, right? Like the Braves have always been a thorn in the Mets side. It took the Mets forever to ever knock them off. So I'm curious to see how that series goes. But the Braves have gotten some good pitching, and I just don't think the Mets have enough. Chris Sale has been really good for the
he's been
Braves. It's
amazing.
like 18
out of
and 3.
nowhere.
I'm like,
Like,
Chris
he's another guy.
Sale is
You
like,
thought he was washed up with all the
he's been
injuries.
pitching forever, this guy, right?
Yeah.
And Max Fried, Charlie Morton's another one, right? Like another dinosaur. He's 40 and he's still pitching. So the Braves just seem to kind of do it a little bit with smoke and mirrors as well. So cute story for the Mets, but I think it's going to be like it was throughout the 90s where they go to play the Braves and then the Braves overtake them. And there go the Braves into the playoffs again where they do what they generally
Well,
do
they're
in the
not going to.
playoffs, right? Which is fold
They're
up.
going to lose. They're going to lose. They're not going to. The Braves can't win. But the
Well,
Mets would be interesting in the play. I just think it would be so good for the city. I just
It would be great for the city. It is exciting when both teams are in
because
there. Because then
definitely
the fans are bickering.
we'll have the Phillies, Yankees, and Mets all in the world in the playoffs. That's pretty cool. That doesn't happen that
Yeah.
much.
and maybe the Orioles.
Yeah, the Orioles doesn't.
That's stretching
They've
it
been
a
falling
little bit.
apart. They've been falling apart.
What about giving a little credit to the manager, the former Yankee bench coach, Carlos Mendoza, as well for the Mets? He took over there and really stabilized everything.
He's made some
and-
really good decisions this year.
yeah, he's done a very good job. So kudos to him as well for putting the Mets in the situation that they're in.
No, I actually enjoy the Mets. And again, one of my good friends is a Met fan, and I watch games sometimes with him. And again, if you for you guys who are on Facebook, if you don't follow Bob Grishka, he's must listen to Facebook, because he pretty much every event of the Mets game he'll post, and he'll either curse the guy out or compliment the guy, and it's just hilarious to some of the stuff he says all the time. But even when I'm traveling, I look on Facebook and I see, oh, Ottavino, he's such a bum, like all this stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what happened. He gave up a home run. But it's funny how people live and die. And Mets fans, compared to like us Yankee fans, we've seen a lot of championships. So yes, we get upset with our team and we don't like certain things, but we think back. We say, hey, listen, I've been lucky enough to see all those things. Mets fans are like Jet fans. They've kind of had to live through a bad long period. They haven't had anything in a long time. So it's good for them. I just think it's good for the city. I really do.
Agree.
Yeah.
And the Yankees qualified for the playoffs again, 59th time that they've qualified for the postseason. And I think they said on the broadcast the next closest team was maybe the Cardinals at
Cardinals. It is Cardinals.
35 or 36 times. So it's just amazing. They have, so many more, almost twice as many.
Yeah.
I just, again, I still worry about the Yankees. I think they're still kind of one dimensional. I don't know about their bench. I'm worried. Some guys are just not hitting, but I think they have better pitching than they have had in a while. So I'd be curious to see what happens. But again, if Judge and Soto play well, and Stanton decides to hit a little bit.
Well, Wells has been clutch.
Yeah.
And the Jazz Chisholm pickup is just
amazing.
Perfect. And Rizzo's starting to hit. So they're going to be good. I mean, I don't think that there's, other than the Dodgers, another stacked team that you look at them and you're just like,
the Dodgers
wow,
pitching's a
that's
mess, Alex. The Dodgers pitching, everybody's hurt now.
Yeah.
They're not gonna make it.
The Phillies have been flailing. It'll be interesting because I really think, as we see the Yankees, there's so many flaws and have lived through the season. I think they're clearly one of the best teams going into playoffs. And
so here's my one thing. Now this is and I'm actually, I'd like to see them not have to get the record, but so the White Sox, they have 9 games left. They have to win 4 out of 9. You think they're going to do it?
No.
Yeah, they're miserable.
Yeah, 52 and a half games
so
out.
The Mets are happy. Place. Like Casey Stengel's rolling over in his grave, all happy that he doesn't have to be the manager of the worst team of all time anymore. Even though there were some teams that were worse, but they just didn't play 162 games. The Mets were the worst team.
I don't know who they're playing, but do you think if the teams that they're playing don't have anything to play for, you think they'll just play the?
They have some tough games near the end, though, because they play Detroit, I think, and Detroit's fighting for that last wild card spot.
Yeah. And they're playing the Padres this weekend, who are holding on to a wild card spot. Yeah. Then they've got the Angels and then the Tigers, who are still in the mix. The Tigers have been a great story the second half of the season as well.
So they could beat up on the Angels.
Yeah,
but they got to win. They got to win another game somewhere. They got to win something else. I just don't know how. If the Tigers lose to the White Sox, and they lose a wild card spot because of that, unless one of these teams clinches ahead of time, then they might not play their guys. That last game, and then it might be good for the White Sox.
Well, they get one if they get one from the Tigers, and they get one from who was the other team they were playing? The Padres.
They're in San Diego this weekend for.
And then they get 2 from
the Angels.
The Angels. Is that enough?
Yeah, it's enough.
That's enough. So they need 4 wins.
Yeah, 4 wins.
Yeah, so they could get them there.
And they tie the Mets for all time, which that's fine. Tie is good, but not beat. But but again, they're miserable. There was 14 people showed up in one of their games.
What?
Yeah, no joke. Not even a joke.
14.
Yeah, no one came. There was one game. It was like a remake or something, a rain out remake, and no one came. I would have definitely gone because if you're a baseball fan, that's got to be amazing. You get every foul ball.
They may ask you to pitch.
Yeah, hey, you want to come out of retirement? Yeah, you're old.
But I've seen some of these crowds. Now the kids are back in school. I mean, the Mets are in the middle of it, and they're not. There's tons of empty seats. They had like 20,000
kids to a game
fans.
that's going to get over at 10 o'clock at night and have them get up for school the next day.
Yeah, but the
starts
Yankees,
so early
you look
now.
at every Yankee game, there's 40,000 people in the stadium every game.
That is cool. That's why.
And they may not be kids. Granted, a lot of business guys are going. But
Alex, it's so much easier to get in and out of Yankee Stadium than it is to Shea. Shea is a disaster. Have you ever driven there?
Well, it's Citi Field.
Or Citi Field. I just call it Shea. Shea forever to me. I'm sorry. Citi Field. It's a pain.
Yes.
And even the subway, which is convenient, it just takes a long time. You got to go into the city and then change there.
Yeah.
Then walk a block, and it's like not convenient.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's the big problem.
But I think was it Milwaukee? I think it was Milwaukee. There was like nobody in the stadium. I'm like, what are these fans doing? Like, your teams are in the wild card race. Like, I could see if you're out of it, okay, I get it. Or if you're so far ahead, it doesn't matter. But all these teams that are kind of right in that mix, I think the fans have just said, I watch it on TV, probably easier.
Or I'll wait till the playoffs. So the playoffs are coming. So
I can tell you what they're doing in Milwaukee. They're getting ready for a Packers game or a Badgers game. That's what they're doing.
I don't know about the Badgers this year.
Yeah. But they still go. They still fill the stadium.
That's very true.
Okay. Well, I think on that note, is there anything else we need to talk about tonight, or
did Aaron Rodgers push away Robert Saleh? That was such a non-story.
I know. It's like the biggest hot take in the world.
Yeah, I was like, oh, come on. I watched the video. I got sucked in because I read an article. Then I watched the video. I was like, oh, come on. We're making something out of this.
And I love the look out, Patrick Mahomes. There's a new MVP in the race. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
he played one game against a bad team and won. Like, give me a break. But
I know.
But the Jets are going to be good. I mean, I think they're just in, like the rest of the NFL.
Mike Williams is surprising me. He's back sooner than I thought.
Yeah, but they're going to be in get better mode. Like as each week goes by, I think Rodgers is going to get better and better and better. But you just look at the stratification of the NFL, right? Like the Jets are the perfect benchmark for that, right?
So, but why did Rodgers and Saleh not get along? What happened there with that?
No. It was he was pushing him because he said Salah's not a hugger. I was surprised he was coming in for a hug, and he always pushes you on the chest. So I thought I'd push him back and say we got a 2-score lead because that's what he always says. Saleh always says we need a 2-score lead.
So he wasn't pissed at him.
No.
Total non-story. Silly.
But if you look at it, the Jets, like what the schedule they've played is like the stratification of the NFL. They played the 49ers and got annihilated, right? They're not as good as the 49ers. They got whooped. Then they played Tennessee, back and forth game, but they eventually pulled out. Okay, Jets win that. And then they played a team that's not very good and they wiped them up. So, and I don't think the Jets have a tough schedule this year. So
they're hosting the Broncos next. Should win that game, right? Hosting.
Yeah.
Then the Vikings,
which
hosting them. Good game.
You gotta beat Sam Darnold.
They're hosting the Vikings?
Yeah, hosting the Vikings.
Goodness, that'll be crazy.
And then the tough game, right? Then you get the Bills on Monday night at home, though. But then at Steelers, at Patriots, both winnable games, right?
Yeah.
Steelers, obviously tough playing in Pittsburgh, but then Texans, tough at the Cardinals, totally winnable. Hosting the Colts, totally winnable. They get the Dolphins, Tua, who knows? That's
Yeah,
in,
Anthony Richardson has been
yeah.
a bum. Like I thought Anthony Richardson was going to be like this was his breakout.
Yeah, I agree,
Oh,
Brian.
he's
Yeah,
miserable,
he did some great things last year, but
miserable
Yeah.
player. Yeah.
yeah. I think the Jets are definitely in better shape than the Giants, who are awful.
Yeah.
Just awful.
Let's not talk about that.
Just awful.
No, we don't. Yeah, we're not. Well,
All right.
a Montreal Alouettes 10-1. Just so you guys know, in case you're
Are
watching.
they really?
Yeah, they're on fire, man.
They're the only team left in the league, Mike. They're playing each other.
No, you have to look at the standing. Look at the CFL standings. You're going to laugh.
I'm
There's
looking
one-
right now.
there's
Oh
one
my God,
division.
the West Division.
Yeah,
The first place team is 7-6.
Yeah.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Look at that. Who are the Elks?
yeah. They changed their name. There was something else. They changed their name to that.
What is the Red Blacks? Is that a bird?
No, that's the other. Remember, there used to be 2 Rough Riders. So
Right.
which
Yeah.
would crack me up. There's 10 teams and 2 with the same name. So they decided to change it. Now they change it to the Red something or whatever. Yeah,
Why is there only 9 teams now?
because one of them dropped out for financial
Because it's
reasons.
football in Canada, Alex.
Yeah.
Gosh. I was looking at it like these guys need some expansion, but they can't even keep 10 teams going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
All right.
And
Red Blacks. I'll figure that one out at some point tonight.
the British Columbia Lions, the Calgary Stampeders, right? I'm trying to remember these
Montreal's
teams.
killing everybody so right now because that team has so much money. I think are they Anheuser-Busch or I don't know. They have a lot of money, and so they all the good players play on that team.
How many teams make the playoffs? Just like 2 if you win your division in the Super Bowl?
I think 2 in each,
or the
maybe 2 in
Grey
each.
Cup?
Then they have the Grey Cup. Well, there was a. I was on the CFL website. I was looking and it had a
What
contest.
are you doing, Brian? Brian, what are you doing?
Sometimes I just have to
CFL
look
is
at
a
these
website?
things.
What
Sometimes
are
I
you
like to
doing?
look at these things, and they had a
With
contest.
all the things you do in your life.
Win tickets to the Grey Cup. So I signed up for it.
Come on.
I did.
Where is it?
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Oh, it's on the
Could it
other-
be any further from you?
Yeah. Like, they couldn't host it in Montreal. I was gonna say if it was in Montreal, I would go.
You would go if I got 2 tickets. I won 2 tickets, or I won 3. We could go. All 3 of us go.
Pass.
It's in Vancouver though.
If it was in Toronto, would you go and visit Sakab?
If it was in Toronto or
I
Montreal,
go and only visit soccer.
Mike and I would go to the
wait.
game.
If
Wait,
the Montreal
they score points on a punt. Come on, man.
if the Montreal Alouettes host like the Eastern Division Championship, we should go to the game.
I would go.
What?
You want to go? Let's go.
Well,
You drive.
I've
I'll
never
pay the
been to
gas.
Montreal.
I'll pay the gas. You drive. I hate driving long ways. So I'll you drive. I'll pay the gas. Let's go.
We can get like
We'll
Expo.
bring Alex.
snacks.
Alex has to go. Alex
Come
has
on.
to
I'm
go.
not going.
Come
Why aren't you
on.
going?
What? Brian,
What? You
That's like a 10,
you can get all-
12
you
hour
can get
drive.
an Alouette shirt. No one in Rumson's going to have an Alouette
Wait a
shirt. You
minute.
walk around with
Alex, it's not like you have to work the next day.
that.
I can get an Alouette shirt on the internet.
I don't know if you can.
I don't think they have Dick's Sporting Goods in Montreal. Okay.
It's called Jacques.
Yeah, Shock Sporting Goods. Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you liked this episode. Alex, where can everybody find us?
So primarily our social platform is Threads. So you can find us at 3 The Hard Way Sports. And we do a lot of posting on Threads. We do a lot of posting on Facebook, some stuff on Instagram. You can email us at info@3thehardway.com. And you can find our podcast on all the major podcast networks, including Apple, Google, Spotify.
And Mike, where are you appearing this week for autographs?
I am going to be appearing at
Red Bank Wawa?
at a CFL game.
At halftime while juggling and throwing a frisbee to a dog.
Saturday, November 9th, I will be at the Eastern Finals of the CFL.
There you go. There you go.
3 p.m.
No, you're not going to any more Muhlenberg games?
No, I will possibly be going to see Scranton men's soccer playing SUNY Cortland tomorrow night.
Nice.
In Scranton?
Nice.
In Cortland, long drive.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a long drive. Well, good
all
luck.
right.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Take care.
Go Alouettes.